Today we are going to investigate the idea of color theory and how primary colors mixed with secondary colors develop a neutral gray, which means they are complementary colors on the color wheel. We have discussed color theory a little bit in the past, and now we're going to use our materials and put them into action. So what we want to do is, if you do have a ruler or a straight edge of some sort, then you will want to utilize that, but we'll just go ahead and make a box. We'll go 7 inches long, okay? We'll just eyeball it. We'll do the same thing down here, and we'll do this 3 times because we're going to investigate the idea of the complementary colors of red and green, blue and orange, yellow and violet. Okay, shift my ruler straight down. Currently, I am making 7 boxes, and we want to make sure we have an odd number. So let's definitely go for 7 boxes, because with that odd number, it gives us a middle box. So 3 on this side, 3 on this side, to get that middle box right there to allow us to have that middle neutral gray. Okay, so I'm just using my HB pencil right now. Not pressing too hard, just in case if I do make a mistake, I can erase it. Okay. Now I'm going to do that 2 more times. So we'll shift a little bit down some more, about the same spot. 7 inches across on top and bottom. I'm just using the width of the ruler right now for easier and quicker development. Make a mark at every inch. Shift the ruler straight down. Mark at every inch. And then we'll do this 1 more time. So when we are mixing our complementary colors, once again, colors that are opposite on the color wheel, if I drag my finger from one color to the next, I will always cross over that neutral gray in the very middle. A lot of people think that if you mix all the colors together from the color wheel, you will get brown, which could happen if you don't accurately mix your colors, but if you accurately mix them all together, then you will come up with that neutral gray. All right, so when mixing our complementary colors, we're going to deal with intensity. Intensity is the brightness or dullness of a color, which is also known as saturation. The colors are always brightest when they're pure from the colored pencils, and then they start to dull out when you add the complementary color to create that neutral gray. Okay, if you once again have a straight edge, that'd be nice to get perfect straight lines. If you have a ruler, that'd be even better to measure it out. But if you do not have those resources at home, then you just want to make sure that you are accurately developing 7 boxes side by side to get these areas here. Okay, we'll go red, green. We'll keep all of our primaries on this side. Blue, yellow, orange, violet. Okay, so when we mix these, when we mix these colors, we're gonna talk about some mathematical equations. So 100% of this box versus the 100% on this side of whatever color it is. So those are your most intense values, okay? The most intense, which therefore they make the most bright, okay? Remember, we're dealing with the brightness and dullness of a color. The most dull is gonna be right down the middle, and that's gonna be 50-50, okay? Yellow is not very dominant, so you'll have to play around with it and make sure you understand that violet is way more powerful than yellow, so you might need a little bit more than 50% of yellow just because violet is so much more powerful. Okay, so then here we can do 70 of this side. Okay, when we're on this side, we want to make sure we're dealing with the majority of that color. 70 plus 30 would equal our 100. Okay, so then we'll do 70-30 on this side. This time the 70 is for this color, your secondary color, okay? 70% is going to be your primary color on this side, 70% is going to be your secondary on this side, and as you progressively work forward, these should always be most dominant with that color listed on this side. These should always be most dominant with the color listed on this side. And then right down the middle should be your evenly 50-50 neutral gray where you can't really tell it's either or. Then we'll do 60-40 or so. 60% this, 40% that, 60% this, 40% that. All right, so let's go and get started. Sharp pencil. I have my red box. Here we're going to use our mark making techniques, blending. You can use hatching, cross hatching, whatever you want to do, and position yourself to where you will be able to fill in the box accurately. We want to work on craftsmanship and stay inside the edges as best we can. Notice how I'm rotating my pencil around. The more I go in different directions, the more it fills. So it's very liney up and down right here. So if I use a cross-hatching method, it's going to even out that lininess effect, okay? All right, now I could develop another layer, and I will later on, but for demonstration purposes, I'll go ahead and move on. But I do see some gaps. I want this to be as even as possible. We've got some lighter whites here. Just go in the opposite direction that it looks. So this looks very liney left to right. So I could fill that in left to right, and then also overlay it vertically or even diagonally each way to get that even application. All right, so now this box is in that 70-30 range. I want to make sure that it is still majority red. I'm not pressing as hard. If we were using our graphite pencils, we would use a lighter H pencil from your B to lighten it up. So your B's are your darker value pencils, H's are your lighter values, but with colored pencil, we don't really have that option, as we need to understand pressure in application and how hard we need to press. So I'm layering down majority red right now, as that is the color that I want it to be. Notice that I haven't pressed as hard. This is much more intense and vibrant and bright. Okay, then I'm going to come in with the complementary color and layer some green on top. Now I don't want this green to be the dominant color. I am pressing very lightly, just letting the pencil do the work right now, making sure it's an even application all the way throughout. And then I'm going to come back with my majority color, which I'm on this side, so my majority color is going to be red. I want to layer another layer of red on top to even out that green, because you can see the green right now, and technically we don't want to see the green, we just want to see a more dark or dull red. So now I'm coming in. We don't want to press too hard at the start because colored pencils are very waxy. They're made of wax. So if we press too hard, the wax will resist the next layer on top. So we need to make sure we're pressing nice and gently, but enough application to lay down as much color as we need. But once again, I'm not just coming in and scribbling super hard with my red and then trying to put the green on top, as they won't blend together because that harsh waxy application will resist the next color on top. Okay, so we can already see how that's starting to tone down. Now the next box, once again, we're going to do majority green, or red, my apologies, majority red. But now we're gonna add more green to it. Okay, filling that box in. Once again, not pressing too hard with my red, because if I press too hard, that'll resist the next color on top. Now this time I'm going to add more green, but I still need to make sure it's majority red. I don't want to lose that red. On the other side, however, it would be majority green with just a little bit of red. And when we move on to our 1-point perspective name drawings, this is how we're going to develop the shadows on the side of our names to enhance that idea of three-dimensionality and form. Come back with red on top. Looks a little streaky in some of these bits, so I'm gonna come in and tone down the red in those little streaky areas. I want this as an even application as possible. Okay, now we can already see how intense and vibrant this red is. Toned it down a little bit, toned it down a little bit more. They're still all on the red side. Now on this side, I would go pure green. Then I would do majority green with a little bit of red, so the opposite of this, still seeing that majority green color. Then you have majority red still, but more green, but you can still see that red. And then here would be a lot of green, or a lot more red, but still majority green, and then 50-50 down here. Then I would do the exact same things for blue with orange, as once again those are the complementary colors to each other on the color wheel. And then yellow and violet. Blue, red, and yellow are your primary colors. I've put those all on the left hand side, as I want you guys to do as well. And then the secondary colors are on the right hand side: green, orange, and violet. Okay, once again, notice how vibrant this green is, how intense. It is its purest color. It's a hue, H-U-E, the purest of the color. Nothing's been mixed with it. Getting that nice even application. Okay, and then moving on, so this will be majority green. Re-angling my arm and hand to get right up against those edges, ensuring that I have successful craftsmanship. Now we're going to add a little bit of red. Once again, we still want this to be majority green. We don't want that red to take over. It's going to be very I saved yellow and violet for last because that one's going to be very most challenging, we'll put it that way, because the violet is going to be so much more dominant than the yellow. So you really need to understand how these materials work individually as well as with one another. Okay, that red is starting to show through, which is fine at this point because I'm not pressing hard, so I can layer my colored pencils on top of each other accurately. Okay, even application. Now I'm going to come back with green on top to tone that red down because I need this to be majority green. 70-30. Okay, so now you notice how I've done the exact same thing here. 70% red, 30% green, 70% green, 30% red, and now it is becoming a more dull color as opposed to those vibrant, intense colors, okay? And you have blue with orange. And yellow. With violet. Okay, technically if you get to the 50-50 points, those would all be the exact same dullness or value, which would be the neutral gray. Okay, so technically this box, and this box straight down should all be that same neutral gray. It's a little difficult to achieve with colored pencils because of their waxy state, but if we were using paint, those would all mix equally and you wouldn't be able to tell which neutral gray I made based on which colors because they would all look the same. Okay, I have a finished example of what this should all look like on the curriculum website if you want to check that out for more guidance and reference, but we will discuss that more during class, and we will all want to accomplish our color theory sheets, understanding complementary colors on the color wheel, always a primary color, always a secondary color, red and green, blue and orange, yellow and violet, which all mix together would create that neutral gray. And right now we are dealing with the term intensity, which is the brightness or the dullness of a color, also known as saturation.